Welcome, everyone, to the Real Estate Experience Podcast. Super excited, as always, to have you on each and every episode where myself and other high-achieving investors provide their experience share, their trials, tribulations, the good, the bad, and the ugly that's ultimately got them to where they are. You know the next steps. Those of you on the YouTube, hit that subscribe button and also notification bell. And luckily, I was able to get that in right before this. We had to pause it because Kent cut in, but we're all golden now. So we're going to welcome Kent Ritter to the podcast. Thanks so much for joining.
Hey, thanks for having me, Sterling. I'm really looking forward to being here.
Yeah. So just a little context on Kent is he is the managing director of Birge Held, which is a local. They're here based in Indianapolis, correct?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And Kent is in my backyard. We're in each other's backyard in Indianapolis, Indiana. And Birge Held is a private equity firm that is in the multifamily sector. They're huge. They're doing quite a bit of volume, and they've got 1.5 billion. That is with a B, everyone, assets under management. That is across a portfolio of 13,000 units. And one little fun fact about Kent is he drives a golf cart more than he does his actual car. So Kent, could you give everyone your 5% of that's ultimately of your journey that shaped you to who you are today and how you're able to get into real estate?
Sure. So really, so you have these kind of pivot points in life, like these pivot moments, right? And major one for me was back in 2015. I sold a business that I was a partner in. My partners and I had a management consulting business. We sold that business at the end of 2015. And from there, I had spent the last 5 or 6 years really engrossed in running that business. And all of a sudden you get to the point where you sell that and it's kind of like, what do I do now? And I've have some capital aside and didn't want to be on the stock market. So it really led me to say, okay, well, what do I want to do next? And how do I want to deploy this money? And I've always been into investing. I was a finance major in college. And a family friend actually got me into real estate. So that's how I started investing in real estate. Started more on the private lending side. And then, I had another pivot moment where a loan I had given out, they actually sold the house that the loan was on. And I get the HUD statement because I'm effectively the lender. And I see that house has doubled in value in 2 years. And all I'm doing is getting my loan paid back. And I'm saying, man, I'm on the wrong side of this. I need to start buying assets. And so that's what led me kind of into what I'm doing now. And then it kind of got bigger and bigger from there. And it was kind of a rapid fire, I'd say 3-year process of like breaking down limiting belief after limiting belief of just like of what I could do. Went from, there's no way I could ever acquire an apartment. I could ever buy an apartment building. I can't do that. I can't run that to now being with Birge Held and being a partner there. And, we're acquiring large apartments, small apartments. They're doing new development. I mean, we do everything under the sun related to multifamily. So it's been an incredible journey.
Yeah. And I want to dig into the limiting beliefs because I feel that's where most people get tripped up is how are you able, did you read a book? Was it a mentor that helped you through that? How did you overcome those barriers?
Yeah, man, all of the above. But some of the big things, the big moments were so I started with podcasts, really was just started, real estate. So I got on there and just looked up real estate podcasts and started to find some that I really resonated with. One in particular was 2 guys, Jake and Gino. They've got a podcast and started listening to that to others daily. And what I really started to understand is like, the way they laid it out was, well, if they can do it, kind of anybody can do it. Right. And so that helped me kind of hearing these stories and understanding and building that confidence. That was a big one. So just kind of inundating myself really in the culture, started attending events, started networking, reading all the books I could, and just getting around people, like going to meetups, getting around people that were like-minded, that were doing or trying to achieve the same thing. Because I think one of the things that can contribute to limiting beliefs are what the people around you are telling you, right? Mm-hmm. So nobody that I knew was really investing in real estate. The people that I did know were single family landlords, right? So they had a few single families, and really what they did was, I mean, they kind of bitched and moaned about having to fix toilets and deal with tenants, all that. It didn't sound very attractive. So getting myself around just like in a culture of people that are trying to achieve more, trying to do better, are constantly pushing their boundaries. And that's really what I found once I got into this kind of apartment investing real estate culture that I didn't know I was missing, but I didn't even know existed. And just found a really positive group of like-minded people that were all pushing each other. And that really catapulted me getting in some of those communities. And then I did and I want to get mentor. Sorry.
Yeah, and I want to get back to that. Is you did mention a valuable point is, and as much as cliche as you hear it is, it truly is that you are the composite of the sum total of the people you surround yourself with. So if let's say you have a limiting belief, or let's say you have a friend that's into fitness and you're someone who's not good at eating, and you spend time around that person, let's say you're out for dinner and you have a group of people who are in fitness, and dessert comes around, everyone's like, I'll pass. You don't want to be that person that says, no, I'll take this. So I am a true testament myself to the people I surrounded myself with. And then also plug for Kent is he's got his own podcast too, Ritter on Real Estate. Check that out. I'll be on there as well. And you mentioned the networking element too. So those are definitely some crucial things in the summary. And I know you're about to queue up the mentor as well.
Yeah. So then I found a couple of mentors, one paid, a couple unpaid. I think both are good. There's pros and cons to each. Sometimes having a paid mentor is really nice. Somebody that you're paying to hold you accountable, and that you feel accountable to, and that you're paying for it. So, it's a little extra incentive to like get that stuff done. I mean, there's positives to that. And then actually, so my company now, Birge Held, Tag Birge is one of the founders of Birge Held, and he became a mentor of mine. And he was very willing to give up his time. The guy is running $2 billion plus companies, the multifamily, and then they have another healthcare company, and willing to sit down and have lunch and get breakfast and just kind of guide me through the process of doing my first large syndication and going through and just opening up his team. And so I think just, it goes back to the environment that you create and just this idea of being around people that are pushing themselves and being around people that share an abundance mentality, right? That also can be kind of cliche, but like, it's really a true thing. If you continue to give and give and give, then you start to get in return. And seeing how willing Tag was to give up his time, knowing how busy he was, it made me think, wow, like I should be doing things like that too. I should be giving up my time, and I should be doing things like a podcast or meetup and other things to help other people as well. And so I think it's made me a better person. Like my whole thing is my real estate journey, I started out to make more money, and in reality, it's made me just a much better person, pursuing this goal. So
spend more time with family. Is that one?
Spend more time with family. That was my big why, right? People talk about their why. It was being a management consultant. You spend a lot of time on the road. Monday through Thursday, almost every week, traveling. When I had my daughter, was another of those big pivot points. I have 3 kids now, but when I first had my oldest, and I remember there's this moment where I was, I'd been home through parental leave and had to go back to work. And I think I was boarding a plane to San Francisco, and sitting there like on the jet bridge, getting ready to take off. It was probably 6 a.m. And just thinking like, I had this vision of like, what do I want my daughter to think about me? And what I didn't want was for her growing up to be like, Well, my dad was gone a lot. Yeah, I'm sure he loved me, but he was gone a lot. He wasn't really around. Like, I didn't want that. And I knew in my current career path, like if I continued down that path, like that's what it was going to be. And I looked at the people, I started thinking about the people that are 10 years ahead of me. And that's what I saw. I saw a lot of just not good relationships. So I didn't want to go there. So that was that's what really pushed me through. I mean, one was like you talk about, okay, what's the next challenge and where do I want to put my money? But I think the thing that really pushed me through the hard times was I'm going to be there for my kids, and I'm going to create an environment where I can go to all the little league games, and I can go to all the ballet recitals, and I can take my kids. Like my girls have a dance class on Fridays. It's at 1:00. And I love to take them and go and watch them. And like, if I had a normal W-2, you just can't do that. So that the level of flexibility that just having financial freedom, I guess you call it, is a huge factor, because, time is more important than money at the end of the day.
Yeah, I agree. This was last month or several weeks ago, I took a trip to Puerto Rico, and it's one of those things that, one, I just wanted to switch up in terms of environment. I still worked, but I didn't have to call my boss and say, hey, could I request this time off? And unsure that whether or not they would grant it. It's just, hey, I could just go take the trip whenever I decided to. So there's that. And so what has been one failure that you've experienced let's go ahead and jump into why multifamily. So did you start single family, then go to multifamily, Kent, or?
So I actually went the opposite. I actually started multifamily, and then I've developed another business on the side focused on single family. But really what I started in multifamily was, I mentioned doing some private lending and things, but when I got into the equity side, it was really as a passive investor. So okay. I went out and was, as part of like my education, knowing that I always wanted to do it on my own, I just thought that one of the best ways to learn would be to just invest in some of these deals and see what these guys are doing and how they're running them. So I decided to go out and invest in 10 deals with different sponsors. It was, I think, 4 different sponsors that I ended up, 5 that I ended up investing with. And Birge Held was one of them. That's how I actually got introduced with them, here in town. And in doing that, I was able to really learn the process from the inside. I made sure going in that they understood that, I'm doing this because I want to learn. So I want you to be open to answering my questions and willing to spend time with me. And that's really what I did. Was I was that passive investor that was asking, why did you pick this debt option? Why did you choose 3 years of interest only? Why did you decide to put these cabinets in? How do you understand how much you can increase rent, stuff like that? Just asking all these questions, and then starting to see just the different styles, like different communication styles and things like that. Because many people are looking for that type of opportunity. However, some operators may not provide that. How do you believe that those individuals said, okay, well, we'll open it up? Well, did you already have a relationship, or how did that work to get that type of opportunity? Well, I was transparent from the beginning. So I was like, look, here's what I'm looking for. Like, I want to invest, but I also want to learn. So, if somebody would have said, no, we don't want that, we just want your money, like that wouldn't have been a good fit. So I think transparent from the beginning. But I also think I was respectful. Like I'm pretty good with like knowing boundaries and not overstepping. Like I wasn't peppering them with hundreds of emails. It was more like, hey, I've reviewed, that your last monthly report, have a few questions. Can we get on the phone for 15 minutes? And then as I built relationships, it did lead to more. Like, for example, one thing I really liked about Birge Held when I was an investor first was they allowed me to come into the office and sit down with different members of their senior leadership to really understand, really meet those people and really speak to. So I was able to sit down with the VP of construction, because there's an internal construction group, the VP of property management, because there's internal property management, and the VP of acquisitions, and really understand from each of them, what do they focus on and what are they doing? And to me, that was so valuable, getting like an inside look on how a firm like that runs.
Got it. Okay. Understood. And so from that is, What would you say has been one recent belief that you've had over the past 5 years, limiting belief that you've replaced with a more empowering one? And it could be in real estate or it could just be in general.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a really good question. So I think I've been focusing a lot in general on just constantly being out of my comfort zone. And a couple way, and that goes right in line with limiting beliefs. Right. And there's two that pop into my head, actually. One is I am not a morning person,
Okay.
which I thoroughly believed until about 2 years ago, when I read The Miracle Morning and I really enacted the lessons in that book. And one of them is like, just there's no good time, just start waking up earlier. And if you just start waking up earlier and fake it, eventually you will associate as being a morning person. And that's exactly what happened. And because with having 3 small kids, I recognize the only way that I'm going to get as much done as I need to get done is by getting up before them and getting a couple hours of work in before anybody wakes up, because the day becomes chaos. So one was, I'm not a morning person. A lot of people believe that. And I truly think that you can change that. You can be a morning person if you want to be. You just have to decide you want to.
You've got to change. As simple as it sounds.
Yeah, you just got to start. Like there's no good time. My wife's really good with that, like with things to change. Like if she's going to start, like we're going to start eating healthy and we're going to do it, like we're going to do it tonight. Like it's just, there's no reason to wait till next week. There's no reason to, so
or
I've kind
of the New Year's resolution. Oh, I'm going to start that next. No, start today.
Yeah. I mean, that's her whole thing is like, why start in January? Start now. And so I've really adopted that. But yeah, so that's one, like just, I can be a morning person. I am a morning person. The other one has really been around my podcast of just, and there's a term for it now of like imposter syndrome, right? But it's just this idea that so the imposter syndrome is believing like no matter how much success you've had, like you really don't deserve to be there. And you really maybe don't have valuable things to share. Well, I mean, really, so having to convince myself to start that podcast and say, you know what, I do have valuable things to share, things that I can contribute will help other people. And so, it's my duty to get outside of my comfort zone and help people. And so I really kind of took on this idea that it's like an imperative that I have to, like, I'm doing everybody a disservice if I'm not out trying to help people make better investment decisions. This is the whole point of my podcast. And so kind of putting that like moral imperative behind it helped me, I think, get over my own personal insecurities or whatever you want to call them.
Got it. And so from a tactical standpoint, we're still, you could say, quote unquote, COVID right now, and then we've got elections and all that. So how have you still been finding deals, or how do you find deals? Do you go direct to owner? Do you nurture a relationship with brokers?
Yeah. So, direct to owner is something that we've started doing very recently. I mean, I know you're a pro at that. You have to give me some tips offline, but primarily it has been nurturing broker relationships. So my job, I really see my role in two ways. One is nurture broker relationships, and two is nurture investor relationships. So really, my role is focused on building good relationships with people. And so and honestly, like I can't harp on that enough. As far as like if you're not getting good deal flow, and your strategy is to get deals through brokers, then you're just not doing enough to nurture the relationship. I mean, I call every broker that I'm close with every 2 weeks, and it doesn't matter if they have a deal out, because it's amazing what comes up on the phone. Like almost every conversation, they may have no deals on the market, but in almost every conversation, it leads to, well, I've got this one, or I was talking to this guy, maybe you'd be interested, so it always leads to something, but you have to do that proactive outreach and you have to nurture those relationships. And I think brokers are like anybody else. I mean, they're not they may like their job, but they're in it to make money as well. So don't waste their time. Be polished, know what you want, have clear criteria, and then be persistent in the follow-up, because they talk to hundreds of people probably a day in some instances. And don't take it personally. They're not calling you. Like, you got to be the one to reach out, and you got to be the one to be proactive.
And the follow-up, I love that you mentioned that. That has been an absolute game changer for myself, just in anything, whether going direct to owner with brokers, is brokers have a lot of things that are going on. So it's about constantly staying top of mind. And my question pertaining to the brokers is the whole chicken and the egg approach is, how do you go through or work with a broker when you don't have any deals? And of course, they want to see that you have deals. How do you overcome that when you want to work with the broker?
Yeah. I never had that experience you hear where people are like, brokers won't talk to me or won't give me the time of day. And I think it's because, again, like I prepared well, and I was respectful. Respectful of their time. So when I would talk to a broker, even at the beginning, I had already done my research. I knew about their past deals. So I could ask, like a lot of what I would do when I didn't have my deals was I would ask them about their past deals. Say, hey, I saw this just sold, what was the strategy here? Are you seeing lots of apartments like this on the market? I mean, is this pretty typical to what, ask just whatever you can ask them to get the conversation going. The other thing was, and this is personal to me, not everybody has this, but I had experience, running a business and owning a business. I had some professional experience that I could lean on to build credibility. Even though it wasn't real estate specific experience, it was other experience that made me credible as a buyer to say, I'm not just kicking tires here. It's, I've run a business, I sold the business, and now, I'm building another business focused on real estate investing, and really approached it as always that, like, I'm building a business focused on real estate investing. I'm not, a real estate investor as a hobby. It's
got it. Okay.
Like, I think it's just the intention and like the focus, and just, so I guess just, have your story straight. The other thing that I've heard, and this was actually, this was a Jake and Gino thing. I won't take credit for it, but just build a credibility book. And what that is really just a PowerPoint presentation that outlines your credibility, and use that to speak with the broker. And it goes through, again, what's your experience that makes you relevant, right? What's your business plan? So I think even if you don't have a deal, having a defined business plan, meaning these are the assets I'm targeting. This is the class, this is the vintage, this is the size, this is the location. That just builds credibility, because 90% of people never even get to that point. I don't think. I think most people, when they call brokers, they're like, hey, I think I'm kind of interested in apartments. Do you have anything,
do you have something off market?
Right. Yeah. Do you have anything off? It's like your first time. Like, so pro tip, don't ask a broker for their off market deals the first time that you talk.
That's just a screener out right there.
Yeah. They're just going to be like, oh God, this guy's been listening to too many podcasts. Like, you got to build, when you build a relationship with them and you show that you can execute, they will start to bring you off market deals, because it's easier for them to sell you an off market deal than it is to have to do the whole marketing package and marketing campaign and spend the time and effort to do that. If they know that you're a closer and you fit the profile, they know your criteria, and they're like, this deal is in your wheelhouse, they'll bring it to you and say, hey, we've got this great deal. You want to take a look at it. And that's truly how off-market deals get done. I mean, they're really like pre-market deals, because there's usually like a 2 to 3 week period when the broker gets the deal to when all the marketing stuff is complete to actually send it to market. And during those 2-3 weeks, they're calling the top of their list and saying, hey, we've got this deal, trying to get it done before they have to actually take it out to market. I mean, most of the time.
Got it. Okay. Awesome. We'll drop some true gems on that, Kent. Yeah. And so now jumping into the rapid fire sharing round, this may be one that'll catch you off guard, but what is one absurd, or I would say unusual, thing that you enjoy doing?
absurd or unusual thing that I enjoy doing. Man, not that absurd, I don't think, but I like playing video games. I still play video games to this day, and I probably will till the day I die.
Call of Duty, Fortnite?
Not Fortnite. I'm not that hip, but yeah, like, shoot, like Call of Duty, like, shooting stuff, like, things that I can just I don't get to do it much anymore with my little kids, but just being able to like unplug for a little bit, kind of clear my mind. It's always been something that's allowed me to just relax and kind of clear my head. So yeah, that's something.
And the last question that we have here is, why do you believe we're here on Earth, Kent?
Man, these are deep. Why do I believe we're here on Earth? I mean, I think we're here on Earth to achieve our own potential and maximize our own potential, right? That's why I believe in personal development and always improving, staying out of your comfort zone, and just always trying to get to the next level, because I think there's so much that we can achieve with just some focus. And I think that's the personal thing. I think the other thing is just, I mean, we're here to support and help each other. I don't view that as much as, like, I guess the way that I view that is, in my mission, is if I can help other people achieve financial independence through education and through access to deals that most people don't have access to, right? Through these type of investments, then I think I can free people up to their highest and best use, right? So if you're unshackled from your W-2 and you're able to pursue what you truly love doing because you have the freedom of money and time, then I think the world would be a better place if more people are able to do that.
Love it. Where can people find you, Kent?
So you can reach me on social media. I'm really active on LinkedIn, just Kent Ritter. You can also find me on Instagram. It's at Ritter on Real Estate, which is the name of my podcast. It's the other place you can find me is anywhere you listen to podcasts. It's Ritter on Real Estate. And last but not least, KentRitter.com. You want to check out and connect with me. And if you'd like to learn more about the types of deals we're doing, that's the best place to go.
Awesome. Well, pleasure having you on, Kent. At the beginning, you all, those of you who are on the YouTube, hit that subscribe button and also notification bell. Trust you were able to get golden gems from this episode. And those that are on other platforms such as iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, leave that rating. It would really mean the world. Thanks so much for being on, Kent.
Thanks, Sterling. Always a great time, man.
All right. Thanks for listening to The Real Estate Experience. If this has brought you any value, please subscribe and leave a 5-star rating. It would mean the world to me. Now go out there and crush it.